Well, Spin, apparently all DeAndre Hunter needed was somebody to make up a trade rumor about him, and he gives you his one of his best performances of the season. 15 points. It was a big contribution to the Cavs. 133. One what was the final score? 107, sorry. Score in Philly tonight. And listen, this is what you were looking for when we talked the other night about consistency, right? Like they lose to the Jazz, they come out and punch a team in the mouth like this. We'll get to DeAndre Hunter obviously more in depth, but this was as good of a bounce back performance I think we've seen from this Cavaliers team all season.
Do you want to explain them to me? I can't.
The team?
I
Like
can't.
why they're so hot
Yes.
and cold?
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I'm positive after this, obviously. But the first thing that came to my mind is how mad everybody has to be that is watching this team and has watched this team for the last 2.5 months saying, what the hell? where has this been? And I think that there's some factors in there that we've obviously talked about that are something you can lean back on. You look at the injuries, 22 different starting lineups, all of that, very, very valid. But in terms of just the effort, the setting the tone, being the ones to hit first, play with force, the way that we watched Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen approach this from the tip was just so different than stuff that we've seen in the last couple of months that I can't put my finger on it. I know that Jarrett's been dealing with his, two broken fingers or whatever on each hand, and Evan Mobley had the sprained ankle or no, he had the calf injury, but just like it shows you with results what you can be when you are at your best. And that's what they're capable of. That was as close to 48 minutes as I think I've seen them play all year. That's what was different for this win for me. Because even when the Sixers tried to cut it down, I think they got it down to like 9 or something like that. The Cavs just always had a punch back. Jalen Tyson had a bunch of crowd quieters. He was making threes. He had the beautiful behind the back in transition with the nice right-hand lay. Donovan Mitchell really woke up in the second half and got going with his jump shot, got inside, got to the free throw line. Evan Mobley, as I said before, was awesome offensively, but defensively, I think this was the DPOY game. Why he won the award last year, the amount of different types of stops he had, the ground he covered, grabbing the rebounds, and then even just getting his teammates involved with assists. Darius Garland, before he went down, and we're going to get to that, but before he went down, was looking as beautiful and as flowing as we've ever seen him. And that, I think, altogether, it just made for a beautiful basketball game. And they had no, not even close to the same competition level from Philly. And they really put them in an uncomfortable position.
Yeah. Listen, that's really well said. I don't have an answer either as to why they're so bipolar and they're so hot and cold. But what I will say is I think tonight did prove what we've been saying, right? We've been saying that the games have been better. We've been saying that they were looking more like themselves. But like you said, this was maybe the first time they put it all together for 48 minutes and just dominated a team the way they did last year. And so again, we ask the same overarching question every week, can they do this again? That's kind of the big thing that we keep going back to. But as Monday's game could have been a real tipping point, right? You lose to the Jazz, it's an ugly game. Then, the next day there's rumors that DeAndre Hunter apparently wants out, and it's it's going to be one of those seasons, huh? It's going to be rumors at the trade deadline season. That's not great. And then you come out and make about as big of a statement as you can. Again, I understand people seeing is believing. The fans aren't going to just completely be sold on this team now that they did this, but yeah, I was super impressed, and it was everybody. It was all the things that you were looking for all season, DG feeling like he was fluid and back to himself, Donovan taking over when he needed to, Evan doing it on both ends of the floor. He had a double tonight. It was all there, and the energy felt great. So yeah, I come away from this one extremely encouraged because I think what you saw in this game, Spin, was when this team is at their best, they are that title contending team that in the East that Vegas and everybody thought they could be. But the question is can they do that enough? And that's what they have to answer.
They'll have gone through pretty much every test possible before the postseason. And you saw it again tonight. I mentioned it earlier, Darius Garland leaves with a right foot injury, not
Yeah.
the toe, the same
Keyword
left
right
foot that he had
foot, yeah.
surgery on. Right foot injury. So we'll see what Kenny Atkinson and the guys have to say in the locker room while this is probably being recorded. And then we also have Sam Merrill, who left with a right hand injury that's been really bothering him since that moment where he reached in on Giannis Antetokounmpo back in late November. He missed quite a bit of action. He's been back, looking good, shots looking good, putting it on the floor, defending, getting in front of guys, and he ends up re-injuring that thing tonight and doesn't play for the entire second half. So it's just like, it's almost equivalent to what I've been describing my workload like this week. It's just like a tree that keeps growing, and then you chop it down, and then it just grows another branch. It's insane how much has gone wrong for them. I know that they're at fault for much of this, but there has just been so many different occasions that just like, once you think you're turning a corner, something happens. And that has to be just so debilitating. But I think at this point, now that you're starting the second half of the season and you're understanding that, hey, maybe it's not going to be perfect, they're going to come out with that same attitude for the majority of the rest of the way. Now, can it be consistent? Can they play for as close to 48 minutes as they possibly can? They're capable of it. Will they do it? That's another conversation. So it's tough, man. Like, you had probably this, you know, like how hyperbolic we are when we do these, and you're like, oh, it was the worst game of the season. Oh, it was the best game of the season. I actually did think that this was probably their best game of the season because they defended like hell. They were forcing turnovers out of the gate, got them into the open floor, looked as imposing as we've seen them all season long. And Philly's not a small team. Joel Embiid's a big dude. No. Paul George has a lot of size. You know, like, they are strong. So they did this against a team that, you know, most would probably consider that the Cavs would have troubles with because they're not as much of a, you know, the narrative of being a soft team. So they did this against a team like them, and you also did it against the Timberwolves, by the way, a couple games ago. And that answers questions for me. So it's so difficult to evaluate them because of all the injuries, but at the same time, like, they can do it even if they're missing one or two guys, three guys, whatever it may be. They can do it.
Yeah, and you saw that tonight for sure. You know, and you know, you allude to just the injuries. Like, that was the worst thing that happened tonight, was the two injuries to Garland and Merrill. Everything else was cooking, and you can use like whatever, you know, words, whatever verbiage you want to use to like describe this one, statement win or whatever. Like, you know, I think we've sort of pinpointed which games looked like the best version of the Cavs this season, and I think this one kind of adds to that list. I don't know. I kind of describe this one as like maybe the most complete game that they've played, because it was all four quarters. It was relentless effort. It was everything. And again, it was encouraging. And by the way, we are getting some comments here from people who are wondering about the DG injury. How serious is it? Was it just precautionary? What's the situation with Darius? We don't have like full confirmation yet. We'll keep an eye on Twitter as we're
waiting on Kenny's audio.
We'll see what he says. Yeah, we'll see what he says in regards to Darius. But you know, you don't want to see him miss any more time, especially with feet or, you know, those types of injuries, because it's been a problematic thing for him so far this season. We got to talk about DeAndre Hunter. You know, I said in the intro that maybe all it took was somebody making a trade rumor up about him to get him to kind of unlock himself. I mean, again, I'm not going like conspiracy theory down the rabbit hole here that like that actually is the thing that kicked him in the ass and got the team kicked in the ass a little bit to like play harder. But it is kind of funny that like in a week of all this turmoil and we've like, these are the moments spent in a season where things can go like one way or another. You know, like when a team faces adversity like the Cavs faced, when things aren't going the way that they thought they were going to go, when you get to January and you're hearing rumors of guys getting traded or wanting out or whatever, those situations can either spiral and like completely deteriorate the locker room, and then it becomes like an untenable situation, or it can sort of motivate a team and be sort of this launching pad for what is to come. I hope it's the latter for this group. And it would be kind of funny if that's what it is. But like, you know, Donovan's talked a ton about, you know, when we get to January, if we're having the same issues, then talk to me. Well, we're here. And to see them put this together after sort of the week they've had is a very encouraging thing to feel like maybe, again, I'm not going conspiracy theory here that that's the reason, but maybe that when things get their worst, this team is able to respond. You mentioned like getting tested, right? Like this week feels like it tested them, and they gave you they passed with flying colors on the floor tonight. They got to do it again Friday, but they certainly passed with flying colors tonight, and DeAndre Hunter was a big part of that. He was awesome tonight.
Dre was awesome. He came out and scored 8 points, I think, in the first like 3 or 4 minutes that he was on the floor. He was not bashful. He took a lot of shots out of the gate, and a lot of them were coming off of offensive rebounds, and he was spotting up, looking good. But he also got to put it on the floor, got to that floater. Defensively, I thought he was better. I've been saying the last like few weeks, even though he hasn't had the scoring touch and he hasn't looked like himself, he has been better as far as just bodying guys up and making sure that he's boxing out and allowing his teammates to get the rebound or him going to get the rebound. He's been better at that. He has. It looks bad because the scoring hasn't been good, because he's shooting such a poor percentage from three. That's what's really held him back. And that's honestly what's held the Cavs back. Because if you even get him, I was talking to someone today, source close to the team, just like, if these guys play average around Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, then you're in a much better place. So it's been suboptimal so far. But I will say, man, like, Dre looked good tonight, good response. I do want to call out, I'm not going to say the name, but that report was utter garbage. It was proven to be garbage because the person that said it actually retracted it later on, which obviously did not get as many hits or as many clicks. So people still continued to run with it. Dre addressed it this morning at shoot around to Chris Fedor at Cleveland.com and basically said, no, why would I want to be traded? I'm really happy here. And went on to say that seasons are long. It sucks that it's not working right now, but trust in the work always. It's crazy to me how that can turn into what it turned into. But to your point, if that was what it took to get him going, then it is pretty funny that a fabricated, rumor that went around and turned out to be a whole bunch of nothing ended up getting him going. But I mean, it's like, you saw me, I asked the guys in the locker room after the loss to the Jazz, I was like, what do you do? Like, what do you say to this guy who,
it was a good question. It was a good question.
You've seen it behind the scenes. You know how good. Yeah, you've seen how good he's shot the ball. You see how much he puts work in on his body, on his craft. You saw it last year when he got here via trade and was burning the nets down. And it's just like, that doesn't just go away. You can't just have amnesia about that. It's you're in a, as Kenny put it, prolonged slump, almost like a hitter that is of high caliber in the MLB that goes through a 2 for 20 slump or something like that. Equate that to basketball. That's what's going on with Dre right now. Hopefully he turns it around. We have one half of the season out of the way. Second half just started out tonight, and I think he's off on the right foot.
Yeah, it's well said. It is. I think it was also good that like he really cleared the air on that himself. Some guys would just kind of like, yeah, I'm not commenting on that. You know what I mean? Like they would kind of let it be, but he was like adamant in the conversations he had, before the game that he's happy. He doesn't want out of Cleveland. He doesn't know where that came from, and like you said, it was retracted by the people who reported it. So, that's good news, and hopefully I loved your questioning of asking guys about Dre the other night, because it allowed guys to just kind of explain like how when anybody's going through a slump, you kind of stand by them and what the philosophy is, and they clearly have done that, and it paid off tonight. Can he keep it going? That's kind of the big question with this whole team. Can Dre keep it going? Can
that's the problem.
Darius keep it going? Can the team keep it going?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really encouraging to see him kind of come to life tonight, whether it was the trade rumor or not. Real quick, we did get somewhat of an update on Darius. Apparently, Kenny Atkinson said after the game that it was the same. He re-injured the same toe, and people were panicking on social media for a minute. But Chris Fedor, Cleveland.com, and shout out to Tommy Wild, our guy Tommy Wild over at Cavs Roundtable, who sent us this. He said it's being classified as a right foot injury. Kenny misspoke when he said he re-injured the problematic toe. The surgery this offseason was on the big toe on his left foot. So good, like Spence said, right foot We'll see what the update is in terms of like his availability, and hopefully it's nothing serious, but that's the latest we got in terms of like an injury update. Spence, what are the Cavs going to do about Naquan Tomlin? Because he's on a two-way deal and he's nearing the maximum amount of games that he can play on a two-way deal. And listen, he didn't have any points tonight, but I think you continued to see like the effort from him. And, he blocked a shot. He was +3. He grabbed a couple boards. He had a couple assists. Like, he was still impacting the game in a meaningful way. And it feels like they're going to have to, at some point, get him on the active roster.
Yeah, no, I think that he's going to be converted probably sooner rather than later, if I had to guess. Kenny needs him. He said as much in his press conference after that Jazz game. And look, Naquan, it felt like tonight there were two of him on the floor. And like Austin Carr said on the broadcast, Quentin Grimes is going to be seeing that guy in his nightmares tonight. The way he was pressuring the ball, some of those steals were hilarious. It wasn't like just deflection here. It was literally like grabbing the ball out of his hands. It was almost tackling him, but legally. If you would just watch back the way he defended tonight, it was fantastic. Paul George got him on a little rip through because he had his hand out. That's just going to show a little bit of the inexperience. He also had a three-pointer that missed everything in the fourth quarter that was admittedly like hilarious because he's so confident. He's so confident that he just let it fly. It was nowhere near the basket, but those are the things that he's on the floor for. It's for the energy. It's the racehorse mentality, the way that he gets up and down. I think someone on Twitter the other day called it the Naquan ski-daddle down the floor when he's running. The sprint, the dead-on sprint, 94 feet.
I like that.
It's a beautiful thing to watch, and Kenny uses him to pick up full a lot. You see him with those slot cuts looking really good, especially when he can throw the hammer down the way that he does. And defensively, like you said, man, it's an energy boost. And when he's on the floor, I love that Kenny's trying to put some shooters in there with him now instead of just leaving him out there to dry with some bad spacing or anything like that. Like, I love when he's on the floor with Sam. I think that's a good thing. I think he really has a good thing going when Jalen Tyson's out there, right? And then you have one of at least Darius, Garland, or Donovan Mitchell out there. It's just really advantageous for him because he can take advantage of the attention that those guys draw. So Naquan is really forcing their hand, and as I said, suspect that he'll be getting converted pretty soon because that, like you said, his 50 games is coming up here soon, and they need him on this team, and he's a part of this rotation in the regular season, and shoot, maybe even the playoffs in a 6 to 8 minute spurt if they need him because he's really stepped up to the plate.
Yeah, you mentioned he's forcing their hand. A lot of the young guys are. And that continues to be one of the most encouraging things about this team in general. Another solid performance tonight from somebody like Jalen Tyson, who had 12 points. We'd mentioned Naquan. Craig Porter Jr. only had a point, but he was +16, so he was impacting the game.
That pocket pass, man, to Evan was fantastic. I think it was late in the third when the Sixers were making a run. It was just a beautiful little bounce pass in traffic, by the way, to Mobley for an and one. It's just a gorgeous play.
Yeah, and it's good to see those young guys still making some of the biggest impacts on this team. We'll get out of here with this, Ben, because tonight was good. And we've done these shows before, right, where we sit here and say, that was a good performance. We feel good about it. We just did it last Saturday again after the Wolves game. The big question remains, what are they going to look like on Friday? And, like, if Darius isn't out there, if Sam isn't out there, like, are they going to come out and have that energy again? Are they going to kind of go through the motions because they stole one of two in Philly this week? Like, this is a team that coming in tonight was the 5 seed in the East. Like, this is a team that you're sort of trying to chase down. You're just a couple games back of them. And I think the Sixers are kind of playing better than some expected this year. And, like you took it to them. That it's impressive. But now you get a chance to kind of do it again, back-to-back game, not back-to-back in terms of the nights, but back-to-back games when they're back out there on Friday. And yeah, I think it is going to, again, be one of these situations where it's like, all right, all eyes on this team and how they play and the energy levels and all those things. If they come out and look flat again, we can regurgitate a lot of the shows we've had this year where we're just like, well, here we go again. Very Jekyll and Hyde per usual for the Cavs. Like, and you can ask me once again at the top of the show, can you figure this team out? Because I won't be able to. But if again, this is the time of year to start making these runs, to start kind of clicking, and if that's what this sort of necessitates and it produces that, and they're starting to find their stride, yeah, it could be the turning point in the season that everyone was kind of hoping for.
The jury is out, Mr. Spence. Don't know what's going to happen on Friday. If, Darius is out, if Sam is out,
Yeah.
Maybe you see a little bit more Tyrese Proctor. We did see Lonzo Ball tonight, first action that he's gotten
noticed
about a little over the week. So that was interesting because Kenny went 10 deep instead of his 9 that he's been going.
He played well too.
3
of 6 from 3. 3 of 6 from 3. He had 9 points.
Yeah, no, he made his shots. That was good. He played some good defense. They've got plenty. They've got plenty when their guys are down. It would suck to not have DG out there because he is the offensive engine, but you do have guys like Craig Porter. You do have guys like Tyrese Proctor. At this point of the season, you want to get them these kind of reps too. So maybe it's not like the end all be all. And you've seen what Darius looks like when he's at his tip top shape. Sam, that's a really tough piece to miss, especially when you're missing Dean Wade, because then you don't have your movement shooter. And we've seen that give the Cavs plenty of issues offensively when they don't have that guy on the floor. So they're going to have to get creative. They're going to have to play a little bit more high pick and roll, get the bigs involved like Evan and Jarrett were tonight. Evan and Jarrett were fantastic tonight, especially to open the game just in the pockets and finding those little seams. I thought they passed the ball well to each other, to their teammates, a lot of give and go. Evan was as forceful as we've seen since probably the San Antonio game. Jarrett was good around the rim with some touch, which, he's been missing as of late. So you're going to have to go to them. You're going to have to go through them if DG is not playing, if Sam Merrill is not playing. So that's what I would look out for in that Friday game. So, but yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde's the perfect way to put him, man. I don't know how else to say it without using profanity. Like what I text my dad, because me and him always are on the threads together, and it was funny. I sent him the same message on Monday as I sent him tonight. I said, they play like a-holes sometimes. And I sent the same exact one tonight. And
different type of a-hole. Different type of a-hole on Monday versus tonight.
When they want to play, they play. So that's the same message I've tried to be delivering all year long. And maybe I'm just going to say it on every podcast. I'm going down with the ship. You're going down
with the ship.
I know what they're capable of. They know what they're capable of. If you don't know what they're capable of by now, you haven't been watching. So that is my swan song here of this podcast.
Your mic dropping this,
That is the end.
All right, your mic dropping
for Spinny.
There you go. I want to remind you, as always, head on over to CavsRoundtable.com. Spin, as always, does a tremendous job with the game thread. I am jealous of his ability to do game threads because I suck at game threads. So if you missed the game and you want to sort of see how things transpired, go check that out. I know Tommy usually does his takeaways. I think he has that up tonight as well. We'll have some more stuff for you over there tonight, tomorrow, etc. So make sure you follow along. And if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can get Courtside with the Cavs here, our podcast that we do post game and throughout the weeks and all those things. And it's really revving back up because, well, I'm free now and I'm a lot more available to be over there at the arena with Spin. So excited about it. Excited about it.
Can I plug one more thing for myself?
Go.
Because I have been just up until 3 a.m. pretty much every night the last week and a half.
You're a grinder, Spin.
If you guys like basketball and the NBA in general, not just the Cavs, please go over to rg.org or r.org, both of them, rg.org and r.org. I have had a ton of exclusives come out lately that I've been working on. Jalen Smith of the Chicago Bulls recently, Oso Ighodaro of the Phoenix Suns, Bones Highland, who just had a 23-point night last night, the first that he's had of that nature in over a year. So that. Also have Braylon Mullins, a top prospect out of UConn. He's a freshman, just big win over Seton Hall last night. That is over at BabcockHoops.com. So please go digest those and enjoy those because I put a lot of work into those. So there's that. And then I'm sorry, there's even more, if you can believe it or not. I have a podcast as well with Run the Show. It's called Hoop Industry. Over at Hoop Industry _pod, youtube.com/channel/Hoop Industry _pod. Myself and Tyler Neal, we just recorded our latest episode 7.
You're cheating on me?
Talked about everything from. I am cheating on you. Sorry. We've had a really good run there. Enjoying it so far. Talked a lot about AJ DeBansa and Darren Peterson, who are going to be the 1 and 2 draft picks of next year's draft. So if that doesn't sum it up, I don't know what will.
Well, it's okay. You're cheating on me. I appreciate you at least still doing this with me. And I love talking hoops with you. It was fun to react to this one tonight. We'll be back later this week. See what happens on Friday. In the meantime, as always, I encourage you to make sure you keep on following along with all things Cleveland Cavaliers with CavsRoundtable.com.